Fuck you, Huffington Post. What's up, folks? This is Justin Garcia, a.k.a. Master Chim, and I'm with the White Post, Patrick Kelly.
That's funny. What's up?
Welcome to another episode of the Pressure Project Podcast, episode 104. Break down our website and everything, Pat.
Okay. Our website is thepressureproject.com. info@thepressureproject.com is our email address, our contact email. You can also find us on YouTube /The Pressure Project. Subscribe to the channel. You get updates when videos become live. Also, subscribe to the newsletter you'll find on the website so you can get early emails and early access to all the awesome shit that we do.
Not bad. Cracker. Okay, so today, this is going to be one of those little rant conversations, rant episodes.
Fun.
It's good. It's a break away from our normal formula. I had promised that I was going to do a video about this, so technically I'm checking that box. But we saw the other day there was a video that was produced by HuffPost Women. And it was the vagina section of the Huffington Post website.
Yeah.
And they produced this video called, or it was titled on the actual post itself, "This is what masculinity really means to men."
Yeah.
And it was a, I don't know, 8-9 minute video.
3 minutes.
Or 3 minutes.
Yeah. It feels like
that's. I was just about to say that shit was painful.
It's very painful.
And
so I understand the missides.
Yeah. So there were 3 segments of the video.
Correct.
And you'd have the what's that called? Title card.
Yeah, title card.
Title card, and then a bunch of
very masculine title card.
Right. Very masculine title card, and then even more masculine. Men answering what was written on the title card. So the 3 segments were: what is masculinity? Do you think there are problems with the term masculinity? Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness. And
sustained.
And the third one was: in an ideal world, what would masculinity mean? So what we decided to do was write down all the points brought up by the men impersonators that they had in that video.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, for me, I'm watching the video, and because you guys are awesome, all right, power players, guys that are with us during these episodes and on this journey, because you guys are so awesome, we always get all this material sent to us, right? Which is incredible. I mean, it allows us to do our job more effectively, and it certainly allows us to sort of sync up with the guys that are listening regularly. So one of the guys sends me this link, and he says, I'd love to hear your opinion on this video. So I immediately see it's like a link to a HuffPost Women page. So I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yep.
So I'm like, what are they complaining about now?
Yeah.
So then I click it, and then I see masculinity. I see men. I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
So I start watching it, and as these guys are talking, it's like, holy fuck, they're not even trying.
No.
And then the HuffPost, they're not even making a valid attempt to represent what they know is a male. What they know is a man in society. And it's, to me, it's like this, a weaker perspective would say it's scary. I would say it's so blatantly, disgusting, that they are, like, right in front of you. You're seeing a sort of propaganda-laden narrative.
Yeah.
And you see it getting so much traction, by way of traffic, online and such. It's just deplorable that here we are in society, that we do not condemn these things for what they are.
I thought it was a guest appearance by The Onion on HuffPost. It was like, Onion, let's take our friends at The Onion's cue on this.
There was a moment, and you mentioned too, that I thought it was a Funny or Die skit.
Yeah.
I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
So what they get, and this is one of the things that, sites like HuffPost Women or Huffington, Post in general.
What's the difference between HuffPost Women?
I think it's You know, you have a woman,
Okay.
and then you have the vagina.
Okay.
So, woman to vagina is Huffington Post to HuffPost women.
Oh, okay. That's
It's the vagina.
It's the vagina of Huffington Post.
Huffington Post, right? So,
Okay.
so when I'm looking at it, they have this collection of men. Now, obviously, this is
Do you want to do that part?
men.
Man.
You know, and being that the site is as successful as it is,
Yeah.
there was obviously some production value in this thing.
It was okay.
And like it's not too difficult to get somebody to talk on a video nowadays.
True.
Pretty fucking easy.
Yeah.
So, but who do they always get? They always get this segment of the population that is a total misrepresentation of what actually exists. So immediately on the video, you notice half the guys are gay.
Or all.
Right, or all. Well, I don't know if all.
At least
heater, cough,
at least 70%.
But you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I should say half the guys are homosexual.
Okay.
You know, all of them are effeminate.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a more accurate way of putting it. And, you know, so right off the bat, it's like, holy fuck, man. Why are you asking these people what fucking, you know, masculinity is?
Yeah.
It makes no fucking sense to me.
0 sense.
You know, so it's like to me, it's like asking a a Nazi, you know, what's it like to be Jewish?
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Yeah.
like
Tell us
it's
about that.
Terrible. It's terrible. I want to kill myself and my family. You know, like
Exactly.
that's what you're getting when you're getting these fucking guys
Yeah.
and ask them about masculinity. So they're all hipsters. They're all these hipsters, right?
Yeah.
As Jack will call them, these elves.
They're all elves.
These weak fucking elvish little shitbags.
Yeah.
And you know, I had posted on the video, and it disappeared.
Yeah.
I posted 3 times. So now it's like, you know, because sometimes on Facebook, admittedly, you do the whole, you know, update, but it didn't post what's actually still there, but you just didn't see it on the refresh that you just made.
Yeah, sometimes.
And it reappears after a while. But I need spring to get here because this is bullshit. But I posted the same thing 3 times.
Yeah.
So only one remains. And for a while, for about a 20-minute spot, I couldn't see any of them.
Oh.
So I'm like, there's no fucking way. So
And your post wasn't like,
by
die,
design.
faggot. It wasn't that. It was like a good, intelligent.
I challenge your champion Faggotron to a duel to the death.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
Right,
It was a
so-
good fucking post.
And by design, you know,
Yeah,
trying
of
to
course.
spark some sort of a dialogue so I could just tear them a new one.
Yeah.
They probably need a new one by now anyway. But
It's worn out.
they could use one.
Yeah.
But really, you see, it's just they live in this fantasy world
Yeah.
that's just so detached. And you know, the worst thing is, I mean, and obviously, you don't have a lot of men that watch that shit. I would say that, you know, even if I'm an effeminate hipster shitbag, you know, I don't sign on to the HuffPost women page every day and see, you know,
True.
what's going on in the world of men.
You never know.
Right, but I
Yeah,
mean,
I
by
get-
and
I
large,
get what you're saying.
I would think there are other, you know,
Yes.
more accessible, more, you know, palatable, you know, ways of them going around being
Sure.
fucking weak.
Yeah.
But what you get is you get women.
Yeah, you do.
So you get women having an opinion on what masculinity is.
I saw some comments. They were like pissed. Like, oh, why are men talking about this? Like,
Yeah, well, you know what? I didn't find on all the comments there, and there were quite a few. I scoured. I certainly didn't read all of them, but I
Yeah.
read a fair share of them. One thing I didn't find was the woman who argued that those men weren't men, that these
True.
are
Yeah,
not
no,
real
that-
men.
no.
That didn't exist. What you had was you had women who, you know, because one of the things it also said on the post was sexism hurts men too.
correct. It did say that.
Right. So you had women who identified that as being true, and that, you know, was congruent with their position, pretty much a position of C. You know, even they suffer from this, you know.
Yeah.
You had that. You had there were 3 groups. You had that group, you had the group that was saying, why are we talking about men?
Correct. Yeah.
Like they shouldn't be on this page. Like basically,
this is the vagina page.
Fuck them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the third group was all the people from the Master Chim page that I sent there. It was like,
Yeah.
it's like that first layer of pawns on a battlefield
Yeah.
that you send, and half of them get annihilated by the archers.
Yeah.
Like it was this whole group of guys from the MC page that were just like, die, faggots.
Yeah.
Delete ban.
Yeah,
like God.
yeah.
But
Long live the patriarchy. I think I saw that. That survived.
yeah, it was pretty fucked up. So
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the things brought up. We'll start with the premise or the segment that they were commenting on. Then we'll deal with the comments. And this is pretty like a cookie cutter format. It was so easy because
Yeah.
it's like these guys gave us an entire episode of the fucking Pressure Project just by being so fucking weak on film.
Correct.
So the first segment was what is masculinity? They asked this brood of elves, what is masculinity?
Yeah.
One of the guys says it represented the person that brings home the bacon.
Yeah. It seemed that some were being fucking sarcastic.
Condescending,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that the fact that the comments led with this, it's like they're building it up to chop it down,
Correct,
building
correct.
it over and over. One guy says dominance, power, and control.
Yeah.
And this guy, if he was on flaming fucking fire anymore, he'd be in the Fantastic Four.
The way he said it, he meant something else. He did not mean what we
He's
thought.
like grabbing necks and
Yeah. He's like dominance, power, control. Like he's talking about some shit. He started.
it was his business card.
His eye.
He
He
was
was
reading
like.
his business card.
He kind of drifted off.
But so one guy said being strong, being an alpha.
Yeah, in a negative way, obviously.
Right. Unflinching, lack of emotion, a front that men put up. So very strategically. Now, I don't know if this whole thing was written, I don't know if they just got, these weak men to keep talking and then just chopped it up, according to their intent.
It looked like some of them had like some personal shit they were trying to get off their chest. So I would say, look like they did the classic. They had ask all the same questions and then lead them.
Right.
Can you repeat that? What with the question in the answer? That kind of shit.
Right.
That's what it looked like.
Right.
You know.
So they started off with a very condescending, like we said, almost sarcastic approach to answering the question of what is masculinity, which is such an incredible question when dealt with completely exclusive of these fucking weak, fucking faggotrons.
Yeah. And the first two people were like, I don't know. Like, it's a very hard question to answer. Then you never see that guy
Right.
again. They never show that guy again.
They were like exit stage left.
They're like, there's the old guy with the silver hair. Just put him in once. Difficult question.
Right.
Exile.
So they build it up. They have all these sarcastic comments.
Yep.
That aren't overtly sarcastic, but just like subtly, like almost like they're saying something that they don't want to say, but they're expected to say.
Correct.
And they're trying to just act it up just enough that you know that they really don't want to say it. Right? That makes sense.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
But then the last thing they say in that section
Yeah.
is it's a front that men put up. So that's like the conclusion of this segment.
Yeah.
That dealt with absolutely nothing of the original question.
No.
Completely just weak interpretation of what an answer to that question could be. And then it goes into the next section. It segues into, do you think there are problems with the term masculinity? Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness.
Sustain.
So,
Yeah.
do you think there are problems with the term masculinity? I'm a guy who showed up at the studio to get some burn because I'm probably an aspiring actor.
Sure.
And I fucking, I use cinnamon as fucking body deodorant.
I'm trying to convert my gay for pay career.
I have a pet pigeon that I've taught to walk on a leash. I'm one of these fucking, weak little unicorns. And I'm asked, do you think there are problems with the term masculinity? Well, if I say no, I know that I got to go walk my pigeon. I'm done for the
you wouldn't
day.
be in this room.
Right. So
if you were going to say no.
So obviously, it's give us problems that you can think up about masculinity. And
I drove a cloud. I drove here on a cloud. I would like to talk about masculinity.
so let's go over some of the responses to that.
Sure. So masculinity is a taught thing that is learned from around us. First
Right.
of all, that's not even like,
Yeah.
that doesn't even make any sense.
Right. Not only does it make no sense, it's inaccurate. And, if you have any, real sense of honesty, it's inaccurate.
Yeah. All those taught things that are around us. Like, what the fuck are you even saying?
Right.
Holy
Masculinity
shit.
is something that, it goes, remember, these are the people that are men and women are social constructs. It's who you identify with. Your gender and your sex, I think that's the way they say it, right? Are different or not the same.
They just want us to be gray blobs that are just kind of bouncing into each other.
Yeah, like
asexual.
Absolutely. So it's it's no surprise that they lead this section now with, it's something that's taught and learned.
Artificial, pretty much.
It's artificial,
installed,
and the whole social construct narrative.
Yeah,
right.
Which is fucking nonsense.
Next one, what does it say?
Men are made to feel that they have to embody some epitome of toughness.
Right. So, some epitome, like the way even a phrasing, you see that it's something that's being denigrated, it's being put down.
Yeah.
Being presented in an unfavorable light. Next.
A lot of us pretend to be something different than we really are.
Right. So now you have this guy who he's taken
it's us now?
Well, he's taken the torch as the representative for the male gender. And he's saying that he has to pretend to be something, different. Like I like that. I'd like my own vote, please, because this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
He does not. Like, what does he want? What is he holding back?
Yeah, like I don't understand.
Come out. Let us know.
Come out. Open the door.
Open the door.
Walk right out that fucking closet.
Listen, stop fucking hiding yourself. What are you doing?
Right.
But yeah, so
Next.
and then notice the language isn't even very strong. Like they're using very weak language in the beginning.
And funny you say that.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of them are doing that up speak.
Yeah.
The up talk shit that we always complain about.
Correct.
That valley.
Yeah.
I really don't know what the difference is. Like everything's a fucking question.
Maybe I love to suck dick. I don't. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So we have to have the strength in ourselves to know what is for us and what is not for us.
Right. So the guy that's saying that, I think it's like the little black guy. He looks like a little messenger, like a little bike messenger.
There's a bike messenger guy there, yeah.
Right. He looks like a bike messenger. There's no
100%.
bike there. There's no messenger.
But
he looks like a bike messenger.
He looks like one that would probably get run over by a truck.
So, fucking the dildo delivery. Anybody order a dildo?
Yeah.
Right. So, he's saying that is now sort of following the narrative of what they want to present as, it's up to us. We can control, what we say masculinity is. We get to pick and choose what is for us, what isn't for us. There are roles that were presented to us that we're supposed to follow, but ultimately we know that they're roles.
Yeah.
And we could see behind the curtain,
Correct.
What's next?
Next one was the creepy alopecia guy. He said, if we're talking about traditionally what was masculine in the 80s, 90s, 2000s.
And even the 2000s. So traditionally, just to cut you off, traditionally for this guy started in the 80s.
In the 80s.
Traditional masculinity began in the fucking 80s.
Yes, in the 80s and now continues traditionally into the 2000s. There was still an attitude unchecked that is about collecting as many women as you can. All
right. So a very misunderstood aspect of what it is to be a man and what masculinity is. I recall a couple of nights ago, I was playing Call of Duty.
Okay.
I don't think this was on the
recording.
The recording, because I started figuring that out. So you see a bunch of videos of me playing Call of Duty on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But cool. I was playing, and I talk a lot of shit when I play. And one of the things I hate about the recording is that you can't hear the dialogue in the headset.
Oh, okay.
So you just hear me talking.
That's
so if
funny.
it's just me talking, it sounds like I have a fucking psychological disorder. But like there's a whole conversation going on.
Gotcha, girl.
Yeah. No, hey girl.
Hey girl, that's what it is. Hey girl,
So-
that's fucking funny.
So some guy starts talking shit to me.
Yeah.
And he and I are going back and forth. And then he responds with, that's why I get more pussy than you do.
Ooh.
So and I told him, and I said there's a woman who raised you that led you to believe that actually means something to real men.
Nice.
And he shut the fuck up. He didn't say one thing.
He was like, "Oh."
He's like, God damn it. Nigga got on his serious attachment.
Yo, I didn't know it was like that. Why you come at me like that? I was just playing. It's just a game.
Oh man, and
That's funny. He signs off. He's like, I'm done.
Right.
Quit.
So, but this is what you get, and you get all the other guys that are on the thing. They're all hysterically laughing, and they're mocking him after that, because this is what happens. Real men mock, these weak men.
Correct.
Those participating in the flamboyant dishonor, right?
Yes.
Of masculinity,
yep.
And you get that all the time, where they think masculinity, as identified by what I would consider real men, is how many women they sleep with.
Yeah.
And if you go back all the way to our first time we had Jack on, he had a great perspective on this. He said, it's just another way of letting women decide our value.
Correct.
And one of the obstacles that Jack has, Jack's homosexual.
Yes.
Right. So with so many, there's so many things that, he's going to get shit for because he's homosexual. And so much of the power in his perspectives and his articulation of those perspectives are going to be sort of written off.
Yeah.
But that for him is one of the most powerful, things that I think men need to hear. And it's the whole, the whole concept of the notion that, if you're a man who judges his level of masculinity or worth as a man by how many women you bed, what are you doing if not just allowing women to decide your value?
Correct.
Great, perspective by him that I don't think he gets enough credit for. But that's what you see. So you see this guy who's traditional masculinity is from the 80s, and he's saying, and he said, it's really how many women can you collect?
Correct.
Yeah. Next,
we have another historian. He says it's a way to differentiate yourself from women historically.
Right.
Okay.
So probably not bad. It's like one of those things that are benign enough that in the context of everything that was said before and subsequently after, it winds up, being a tool used by, that narrative. But in and of itself, not necessarily a bad thing. It's a way to differentiate yourself from women historically.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
As we get on the episode, talk about one of Jack's things that he had done. You see, when you talk about what's masculine, you got to start off with, the relationship of men with other men.
Yeah. Of course.
What's masculine? It's at a minimum, it's what all the other men say it is.
Correct. That's
true. That may change from tribe to tribe, from time to time, from era to era in history. But at a minimum, it has to be what all the other men say it is.
Correct. 100%. Yeah.
It can't be what's masculine is what the women say.
No.
That wouldn't make sense.
Wouldn't make any sense.
All right. So what's next?
Next, where we get into trouble as individuals or a culture is when we say a man can be this and a woman can be this, and there's no room for debate, no gray area. Right.
So it's a sort of straw man position. They're setting up this sort of false.
Yeah.
This false conflict of, men saying that women can't be something.
Correct.
And men can't be something. Men can't be a mother.
They cannot.
Women cannot be a father.
True.
And it's really biological and logical. And it's just, it makes sense if you're willing to be honest with yourself. But all of these other assertions that, like even the most manly of men like us, that we think women, are stupid or they're incapable of doing anything, intelligently. And it's obviously all nonsense.
Of course.
So setting, our perspective up as something that espouses that, it's just bullshit.
It is. It is 100%. Next one, being LGBT.
This is the gay guy.
Yeah. Or one of them.
Flame on.
But which one is he? Being LB, I guess he's all of them. I already already think about gender as being very fluid. So it's not something that is very relative to me.
Right. And I agree. Most of reality is not relative to him.
No, he wants to be fluid with his
This
gender.
guy, he's one of these guys that his life is like a long Cirque du Soleil fucking act. He's just
That's funny.
prancing around, hearing music in his head, wishing he had on makeup.
Yes.
And you see his just basic detachment.
Breaking into musical numbers.
Right. And he's one of these guys that, he's the fact that he's able to exist is a testament to the power of our society.
That is correct.
Because no other time in history would he have made it.
He would not have survived. And that's not being fucking a gay basher or some shit like that. It's just,
Absolutely not.
But it's like, look at how he is and look at how weak he is, regardless of his sexual preference. He would not survive.
Right.
Like, he would be food.
Right. Absolute food.
What?
He'd be food.
That's when they
For
break out of
animals.
when they break out of Siberian prison, they take 3 people, right? They don't tell one of them that one of them's food. That one of the guys is going to be food because they have no other choice. It's such a long journey and there's no food.
Right.
So they kill and eat one. Anyway. So he would be food in that story.
So now we have the
Yes. Now they come to they're going to get the kill shot.
all right, the kill shot, the money shot.
Yeah,
if
the
you
money.
would.
They're setting up the money shot.
It's the last section. And the last section is, in an ideal world, what would masculinity mean?
Yeah.
All right. So
What would it mean?
now it's like, we see that, nobody has an idea what masculinity really is. It's something that's made up.
Yep.
When we actually think about it, it's something that we're pressured to sort of follow, and
It's holding
something
us
really
back.
doesn't make any sense.
Stop holding us back.
All right. So now the conclusion is,
Yeah.
if we could make the world a perfect place, what would we do with masculinity?
Yeah.
Like this fucking plague.
Yes. How do we cure this plague of strength?
Right.
So, in an ideal world, masculinity wouldn't have a real definition.
It's almost like a non-statement.
It's ridiculous.
So in
First of all, ideal world, right there, you're fucking up.
Right.
Then you're saying it doesn't have a real definition. What are you talking about?
are you saying eliminating it? Are you saying that it's blended into, what is now thought as contrary to masculine?
I don't know.
It's tap dancing.
It is.
A useless statement.
And then the next guy, which is your guy, your delivery boy, he says masculinity wouldn't mean anything.
Right. So in an ideal world, masculinity wouldn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because in the earliest segments, you had the guys saying, masculinity is a person that brings home the bacon, somebody who seeks dominance, power, and control, being strong, being alpha, unflinching, lack of emotion. But now you have, the guy saying that, that wouldn't be the case and it wouldn't mean anything. So thereby condemning all of those original statements.
Yeah. So being strong is bad.
Right. Being strong is bad.
Bringing home the bacon, also bad.
Right. Looking to become powerful and in control is bad.
Yep.
Having a lack of emotion.
Unflinching, I would say,
Unflinching.
being fucking resolute,
Right.
being of sound purpose. Yeah, those are bad things.
Right. And, now you see, and they put enough time in between them that, they're able to sort of sing this song at such a slow pace that you think you're just listening to music.
Correct.
When they're actually installing this position of, fuck everything that's masculine, fuck, what men think they are, traditionally, biologically, historically. What's the next one?
In an ideal world, masculinity wouldn't exist.
Right. So another statement, supporting the notion of, everything that we said masculinity was, by the way, if we had ours say, none of it would exist.
Power wouldn't exist. Strength
Nobody
wouldn't
would
exist.
be powerful
No.
or strong or, everybody would be emotional. One guy made the comment, I don't know if that's in here.
It's in
yeah.
here.
It's in here.
Everything's in here.
So go on to the next one.
Yeah, but they just want to be gray blobs. The next one says men and women alike would be able to do whatever they want to those certain pressures to act like a man. Those certain pressures to act like a man would go away.
Right. So
some of this is written exactly as they said it, so it's a little fucked up.
I understand. It's so you have the idea that he's trying to share.
Yeah.
that men and women can't do whatever they want, which isn't the case. It's actually the only thing they can do.
Yes,
is what they want. You know, it's the only human right is choice. You know, and men and women can choose whatever they want.
Those fucking act like a man pressures. God damn those.
Right.
I think there's a T-shirt.
Yeah, right. It's absolutely. And you know, the pressure to act like a man is a pressure to fulfill your obligations as a man.
Correct.
You know, so how that's being construed as a negative, you know, they'd have to sell somebody, because when you're preaching to the choir, you don't really get credit for having value in your message.
True.
You know, but when you have a position that can convert people who don't side with you initially, what you're saying has some juice.
Yeah.
And no such juice exists with these fucking people.
No.
Next one.
In an ideal world, this dude outed himself badly. In an ideal world, stay-at-home dads would not be criticized for not being the primary breadwinners of the family.
You know, so it's funny. This isn't hunter-gatherer, you know, time, era. I know a couple of men who, you know, their wives make a very good living and they stay home, and they follow a model in their household that isn't traditional, but had the roles been reversed, I would argue that it's maybe not even traditional. You know, when it comes to women taking care of the children, you know, young children need to be around their mothers. As children become older, the role of the father becomes more prevalent. But at what point they decide to have one parent, you know, make more money than the other parent, it's probably, to me, not as much of a priority as making sure that, you know, women take care of young children and that men are always committed to doing whatever it takes to providing for the lot of them.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like, you know, if you have a woman, like your mother's a nurse.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I remember her saying was, you know, she took care of you guys until you were like 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
And then went back to work.
That is correct.
Well, let's just say at that point, she's making more money than your father.
Yeah.
Or let's just say, you know, hypothetically, that she goes back to work, she's making nurse money, and your father gets laid off.
Yeah.
And decides, you know what, maybe hanging out at home, being there for Pat and Colleen, maybe it's a little bit more productive and probably a little bit more effective to help them right now. Like, I wouldn't call him less of a man for that. You know,
of
like,
course not.
So
This guy's fucking got it twisted all up.
right. And this is the point. You know, it's, you know, young children should be mothered.
Correct.
All children should be fathered.
Yep.
But when it comes to who's making an income and who isn't, it's sort of like the whole, you know, what's masculine is, you know, sleeping with as many women as possible.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's antiquated.
Right. And immature, I would say.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say antiquated.
Okay.
I would say a product of immaturity.
Same as the fucking fuck everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you talk about, you know,
That makes sense.
eras past, what's masculine, you know, it's they knew what masculine was.
Correct.
You know, they knew, you know, there was the gentleman's club, right? There was, you know,
Yeah.
and it wasn't about, you know, how many women did you bang today? How many women did you bang? They're all married men. They have families.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about how many women they slept with, but they still, you know, had their sort of finger on the pulse of what was masculine.
Correct.
You know, so I would say it's immature. I would say it's just childish.
Yeah. And you can see the way the guy delivered it. He was very like, listen, stop picking on me.
Right. Stop making fun of
Stop
me.
bullying me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we're making fun of you for all totally other reasons.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Next. Men wouldn't have to be afraid to show their emotions or to cry in front of other people.
And it's just an odd thing to say.
It is.
Men show their emotions all the time. You know, on the contrary, men often get chastised for showing their emotions because anger is an emotion.
Yes.
Rage is an emotion.
It is.
You know, this guy just wants the permission to cry. And crying, you know, we have the Cry
had that
Babies episode.
yeah.
Cry Babies. You remember what episode it was?
Cry Baby. It was like number 7. It was a long time
something
ago.
like that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, in the Cry Babies episode, we say that, you know, there's a time where absolutely men should cry because psychologically it's the coping mechanism that allows them to remain sort of emotionally sound and balanced. But for this guy, you know, totally, you know, absent of one of those situations.
Yeah.
to sit here and try and champion the right for men to cry in front of other people, what the fuck? What is bothering you, dude?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
like,
We'll
are
sit
you-
on my lap. I'll rub your
No,
fucking back of your head.
just cry, let it out.
And it's
And the thing about crying, we've gone over it. Like, if crying is going to make you unable to survive or do what needs to be done, that's a bad thing. Your son is hanging off a ledge, and you just start crying instead of grabbing his hand.
right.
That's fucking. You can't do that.
Right.
You know.
Or you get the people, and I know somebody like this where their parents passed away,
Okay.
and in like their 80s,
Yeah.
and they are now like this mess, this emotional
An
mess,
inconsolable mess.
and because the cycle of life was something that they never contemplated at any point in their lives,
Yeah.
and are now put in a position where they thought their parents were going to be around forever.
Well, nanomachines.
Well, in lieu of that,
Yeah. In lieu of nanomachines.
yeah, this one individual,
Yeah.
he's a crying, slobbering, fucking blithering idiot.
What makes you incapable of functioning? That can't happen.
Right.
So if this guy wants that, like, we're all allowed to just fucking blubber around and not
Right.
eat anymore.
Well, it's really, if crying is the mechanism that allows us to avoid being overwhelmed emotionally from trauma,
yeah.
how weak are you that you're crying all the time?
Yeah.
Like, if you're crying all the time,
Yeah.
you're weak. By definition, you are weak.
That is correct, because your cup is so fucking shallow.
Right. Your cup is so shallow that it takes very little to become overwhelmed,
Yep.
and you need that catharsis that crying gives.
Yep. Look, he killed a fly, fucking bawling tears.
Right.
Like, no good. Next, if we start to break down these roles and start to see that, yes, we're all human beings, we should all be granted a certain level of respect and dignity.
All right. So, do we need to break down the roles of men and women as dictated by our biology?
Yeah.
In order to respect other people and treat people in a dignified manner? Of course not. But again, it's this sort of straw man position of, this is just, it's the thinking of, men and women as being different.
Yeah.
That's what's preventing us from all getting along and respecting one another.
Yeah, when the fuck did we ever say that women aren't human beings?
Right.
When was that
right.
our position ever?
Right. Oh, yeah.
They're men, and then there's those things with those slits.
Right. As if
They're not human.
Our default position
Yeah.
was that, women are pieces of shit.
Yes.
It couldn't be further from the truth.
So this is another one of those straw man, terrible fucking things. Now the next one, this one is sick. Is sec arum eptis, which is as thus as written. Which
What
means,
the fuck are you talking about?
Because when I read this, it's not going to make any sense. Everyone can be themselves, and their masculinity would be defined by their actions, not what they say they are or what they try to perceive to other people.
Well, you're defined by your actions, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Now, if you are not masculine and you are a man,
Yeah.
it basically just means that you're acting in a manner that other men will not respect. Now, I will say, you have these weak little unicorn pieces of shitbags. They have a group of men that may very well have a definition for masculinity
Yeah.
that works for them. And I think it's worth noting that that's the case. Now, I would add to that, to avoid confusion in our overall, opinion of them, I would add to that they have such a low level of survivability,
Yeah.
in their definition of masculinity, I would still say it's a weak definition of masculinity.
Yeah.
They don't even want to be masculine.
No.
Do they have their own definition of masculinity amongst their own? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the survivability of that, and especially its congruence to what has historically been masculine and has worked for men, it's completely incompatible.
Correct. Yeah. Terrible. Next. So ideally, there would be no such thing as masculinity, no such thing as femininity. We would all just be people. Guess who said that? Which one?
Hey, flame on.
Yes. And what I was saying before, sic erat septum means thus is written. That means when you read it and it's all fucked up.
What it really means is that you're perfect.
No.
So lest any of you think that Pat wrote something down incorrectly,
No, I fucking
I
up
will
all the
summon the powers of Latin
time. Yes.
to let you know that it is thy that is an idiot.
If you ever see that written sick, that's what it means. Just so you know, a little power for you guys. But yeah, so that was our favorite guy. Who they even gave him a second camera angle when he said this,
Right?
Because it was so epic. That we should all just be people. Like we're not people right now. I'm not a person right now.
Well, those are the options.
Yeah.
We're either people or we're men and women.
Or we're masculine lunatics that aren't people.
Right. And, obviously we don't agree with the premise. And the whole thing is we can sit here and argue all day long with these types of people about what works and what doesn't work.
I don't think we would do that.
We could.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, truthfully, they're allowed to have their opinions. The only time where we would be able to illustrate the actual outcome of those opinions would be in a society unlike our own.
Correct.
So again, it's like our society allows these people to survive.
And allows them to be filmed, and now we have to watch this bullshit.
Right.
So
when you talk about a guy who like one of these little, hipster shitbags, if he were to say, we shouldn't have to learn how to fight. Men shouldn't fight. I'm anti-violence. I'm this. Well, you're allowed to be that way because you live here and you live here now.
Correct.
300-400 years ago, stick you in the middle of a fucking European fucking shit town. Like, sure, yeah, no violence. Absolutely. See how that plays out.
It's going to go work well for you.
Right. That's where your bloodline ends. Right.
Correct.
Then and there.
You don't get to continue.
We talked about the I got a chance to do that Radio 314 interview.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it was a great time. And one of the things I referenced during that talk was that bow hunting video.
Oh, yeah.
And how the guy says, a lot of these people, who are vegans and condemn, this way of life and hunting, understand that they're only here to say these things because people in their bloodline that came before them were strong enough to hunt and kill animals.
That's correct.
So it's one of those things where, you could sit here and you could chastise masculinity. You could say that men shouldn't any longer have to do all the things that that they're expected to do or pressured to do. But again, I would cite, well, you know what? The only reason you get to say that is because people in your family who've come before you were men.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like similar to slaves.
Right. So,
Anyway.
I mean, for the most part, this video, it got me just absolutely fucking nuts at first. And after a while, it's like, all right, here we go again.
It's funny, though, when we see these videos, it's like my reaction always is like, cool, now we have something to talk about.
Right.
It's like, okay, cool, thank you.
And admittedly,
we appreciate that.
I still have a very passionate outlook on these things. And it usually takes me a minute to get there.
I'm just glad that you haven't broken any monitors.
Right. Right.
You're under control, because I expect sometimes this video is one of those where I come in, there's possibly a new monitor.
And that's just, just me working out my shit. But
possibly a new monitor, because this is some fucked up shit.
So fuck them.
Yeah.
We're going to segue.
Not literally.
We're going to segue into our mantelpiece.
Cool.
And does my voice sound fucked up?
No.
So I think I'm getting sick again.
No.
I don't know what the fuck is going on. It's got to be the heat. I'm telling you.
The heat in this place?
Yeah, like this, like baseboard.
Got the black lung.
I don't know. I don't know what that is, but
I got the black lung pop.
I don't have any black.
It's
lungs.
from Zoolander. Black lung is like the coal miners get it. Okay. He makes a joke. He's in there for one day. He's like, I have the black lung pop. Yeah, it's a movie reference.
So anyway,
yeah.
So Jack Donovan's A Sky Without Eagles.
Yes, fucking awesome.
This is our mantelpiece. Now, this is a collection of writings by Jack, And fuck, man, he gets it right.
Yeah.
This fucking guy.
He does. The audiobook's fucking legit too.
Yeah, it's legit. I take total credit for the audiobook, by the way. I've told you that.
That's awesome.
And Jack, if you're listening, like, I don't care what you say, I'm taking credit.
Awesome.
I told him at one point, he was talking at a conference. I don't know if it was like fucking Amarin conference. He was talking at some conference, and I think it was the New Barbarians. It was that was
I remember
the
that.
name of his talk. And I told him, number one, you need a fucking audiobook.
Correct.
Because nobody wants to sit down and read a book anymore. And I said, number two, you should do it yourself. You have a very epic,
Yeah, he's good
voice
presentation.
and inflection and,
Yeah.
and, hearing shit, that, was written by somebody, read by that same person. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, from the horse's mouth, as they say.
All right. You don't go fucking call Jack a horse, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
So, anywho.
I listened to the audiobook. It was legit.
Right, both. I obviously have the book. Some of the essays that are in The Sky Without Eagles that I absolutely love. Violence is Golden.
Yeah.
So Violence is Golden, is the first time I'd ever heard of Jack Donovan. It was an excerpt of, from Violence is Golden. And the entire piece is just an incredible testament to the reality of society's relationship with violence throughout history, and even how it applies nowadays. Another great essay in here is I believe it's called The Grievance Table.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite one.
And he talks about, in The Grievance Table, how you have the men's rights activists.
Correct.
And, as much as we share mutual adversaries with the men's rights activists, do we really want, what they want?
Yeah.
Which is what he argues is a seat at the grievance table.
Correct. Yeah.
And the entire paradigm is not one that we subscribe to. So although we certainly share mutual adversaries with the men's right activists, the majority of them being, or the majority, the lion's share of adversaries being, in a feminist space.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have congruent positions on how to go about dealing with them.
Correct.
He has a bunch more. He has anarcho-fascism. He has Mighty White.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Mighty White, great talk.
Yes.
Talking about, the pride in he being white and his culture and his heritage, and how it has very little to do with racism. And, saying I'm good is not the same as saying you're bad.
That is correct.
And that's a distinction that just completely eludes people.
It does.
And I would say probably on purpose, because it doesn't support, what they're trying to get across, what they're trying to, sort of get away with.
Yeah.
And, so, and anyway, I mean, what's your favorite in here?
The Grievance Table.
The Grievance Table.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
So, I would
say Mighty White, but come on. The Grievance Table is the best one.
Yeah. So, I would say definitely get the book, get the audio book.
Yeah.
It's something like, I'm the type of guy that I'll read a book. A lot of time, admittedly, now I consume more audiobooks than actual physical books.
Yeah.
It's just I'm a fucking workaholic, and I just piggyback and overlap shit on top of each other.
Makes sense.
And I will, one of the things I do now, listen to the audiobooks, is I have the sled. I got to keep my cardio up for the powerlifting.
Yeah.
And, I'll drag the sled on the mat, and I'll listen to the audiobook over the loudspeaker.
Awesome. Yeah.
And while I'm pulling the sled for fucking half an hour, or 8 minutes before I need to sit down and rest.
Different days, different workloads.
Right. So, for me, it's, this book has been a great addition to so much of Jack's work. You start off with A Way of Men, and it's really, that's the heart of what so much of the masculine position nowadays needs. But then you want to sort of have this list of just powerful tools to add to it without sort of running down, one topic's path to a book's length.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. had he written a book about the relationship of history with violence and how that it could be applied today, it would be a book certainly worth reading.
Yeah.
But being able to succinctly and concisely put forth all these ideas in a much shorter, easily consumed essay, I think proves to be a lot more useful.
That is correct.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
100%.
So Jack Donovan's A Sky Without Eagles, incredible book. Of course, we'll put a link.
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the next section.
Okay.
So Pressure Player,
Pretty easy segue.
Jack Donovan.
Yeah.
Now, he's a multiple Pressure Player winner, right?
He is. Yeah.
And it's not just him
Yeah.
that I wanted to congratulate or award the Pressure Player for this episode. It's really his work on the video that he made.
Oh, yeah.
What is masculinity?
Correct.
Great video, well done.
A lot better than this one.
Oh, a hell of a lot better than this one.
A lot better than this one.
And what he did is, I don't know if I don't think he read it verbatim, right, from his book, but it's basically Jack breaking down what masculinity is.
Yeah, I
to
don't think
him.
it's verbatim.
And
there's some points that he hit, like the
right, like the virtues and stuff. But it's just a great video. Maybe this was like the 9-minute video that I thought it was.
That one's 9 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's a long video, but it doesn't feel like that.
Doesn't feel like it at all. And you know, he does a great job of really giving everybody just a consumable version of what his position on masculinity is.
Correct.
No weakness, no real offense being given. You know, he's not going after anybody. Just an incredible presentation of the info, and it's because of that we chose him for the Pressure Player for this episode.
That is correct. He is the exact opposite.
Right. He made the proper video.
Correct.
To answer that question. Like
they made the bullshit video.
Like they should have just put up Jack Donovan's video.
Yeah. People aren't ready for that on that page.
He's banned in Toronto.
Yeah, I saw that. Banned in Toronto.
What the fuck is that about?
I don't know. That's crazy.
It is just absolutely insane. It's like the public library is like run by this brood of women. What do they call when witches are together?
Coven.
A coven. What did I say? Brood.
Brood is also.
Yeah, that works, right?
Yeah, coven is
coven. Let's use coven now.
Coven.
So this coven of fucking
coven of cunts,
bags, right? This cunt coven.
A boot. What are they about?
What the fuck is this all about? But he, they said that he's misogynist and he's homophobic. I think one of them accused him of
hysterical.
Fucking hysterical. And they banned his books from the Toronto Public Library.
Interesting.
So. Like, to me, obviously, it's not a good thing, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool when one town does it.
It's better to be hated, loved or hated, than have no one give a fuck.
Right. I agree.
So
I agree. Absolutely.
They hate them. Fuck it. Good. Fuck them.
Yeah, but that's where, or how Jack Donovan's writings get people motivated and fired up.
That's good.
Like the fact that they're actually
polarizing,
banning him as an author.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Like your book's a band aid.
And ironically, they probably have a copy of Mein Kampf somewhere
in
a section. And, so it's really just the power that, as a society, we're giving these fucking unicorns.
Yeah.
That they could start banning books now.
Yeah, of course. Why don't they just burn them, too?
Right. So the unicorn
for
this episode is the HuffPost Women website.
AKA... the vagina.
Right, the vagina
of the Huffington
Post. So now why the unicorn? Not only because it's the easy pick, because it makes sense, because we've been fucking talking about them this entire time. If you go on their website, and take my word for it, I'm not telling you to go there. What you see is such a propaganda-laden representation of what society is, what it should be, who the men are. Every single video, I watched a whole bunch of videos produced by that page. And I would say the ratio of gay men to straight men is like 50-50 on these videos.
Okay.
Like half the men there are gay.
Yeah.
That is not society, by the way.
It's not.
I have no problem with the homosexual sexual preference for men or women. It doesn't. I don't give a shit. But when you have these videos where you're overrepresenting these flamboyantly effeminate men, how could you not be said to be, politically skewering the, your information to propaganda levels?
I mean, imagine the flip side of that. Imagine a bunch of straight guys speaking exclusively about like what gay guys are doing. Like, I'm an expert on gay guys now. Wouldn't that come off as a little bit fucking retarded?
Right, disingenuous.
Yeah.
Certainly inaccurate.
Yeah.
But with the HuffPost, like the HuffPost women page, that's what you see. You see, like, you guys aren't even trying.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that it makes it so easy to say fuck feminism, and it's so easy to say fuck the Huffington Post.
Yeah.
Is because they're not even trying.
No.
And I think, it's something that, and obviously, preaching to the choir, you're listening, to this episode. It's something that we need to continuously fucking annihilate.
Of course.
100%.
Because it's just weak. It's weak as fuck.
Yeah, and it's lying. It's inaccurate.
It is.
Like,
it's
why
the easy way out.
Why is masculinity, something that men should embrace? Not because it's cool, not because I like being masculine. Because it works.
Yeah.
Because that's what helps us. That's what led us here.
Correct.
Right. So, and that's at the core of any of my positions. It's because I think that they are the truth.
Correct. Yeah. Or they wouldn't be your positions.
Right.
And if you had contrary information, you would change your position.
On the fucking spot.
Correct. But yeah, so that page sucks dick.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
You said it first. So, all right. So, fuck you, Huffington Post.
Yes.
I put FU on the promo picture.
I saw that. I think that's funnier.
Consumable, right?
Yeah.
But I figured with the video.
It has a college-y feel to it.
Right. FU.
FU.
So,
I like it.
A lot of information.
I picture a college font.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
What's that called? I think it's college font.
Yeah, college. Yeah. There's one called college, yeah.
So, break it down, Pat.
All right, break it down. So if you saw this video and you agree with it, watch it again and really kind of take stock of what the fuck you're doing, especially if you're a man. If you're a woman, I don't really care what you thought about it. If you're a guy and this resonates with you as being true, you're fucking up. You need some new videos to watch. Specifically, watch the Jack Donnan video, see the contrast. The contrast is night and day. There's no power in this. This is just complaining and speaking of ideals and nonsense, and it's all bullshit. So find some new shit to watch. I would say stay away from the vagina website and seek strength elsewhere.
Well said. The movie The Fugitive.
Yeah.
It was Wesley Snipes.
The Fugitive?
Was that Wesley Snipes?
Tommy Lee Jones and...
Who's the black guy?
That's the sequel, and that was Wesley Snipes. Was it Wesley? No. Yeah.
There was no sequel. What are you talking about?
The Fugitive? The Fugitive is with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones.
No, but who's Wesley Snipes? He was in The Fugitive.
Wesley Snipes is in The Fugitive? Are you sure?
No, that's why I'm asking you.
He's not. The Fugitive was...
What is the movie I'm thinking of then?
It's probably the sequel to The Fugitive. They made a sequel.
The Fugitive
It's called U.S. Marshals.
U.S. Marshals.
Yeah, that's the sequel to The Fugitive, where Wesley Snipes is the guy.
All right. My segment. Shut up.
Check. You got it. On to you.
So, in that movie, U.S. Marshals, there's a great scene where Tommy Lee Jones is sort of squared down on Wesley Snipes in this tunnel. And it seems to be like a sewer sort of tunnel of an outlet to a body of water. And Wesley Snipes reaches the end of the tunnel and this huge drop off. And he doesn't want to jump. He's at the end of the road. He turns around and Tommy Lee Jones is there with his gun. And he looks at Tommy Lee Jones. Tommy Lee Jones being the U.S. Marshal who's charged with capturing Wesley Snipes, who had escaped. He looks at Tommy Lee Jones and goes, "I didn't do it. I'm innocent." And Tommy Lee Jones looks at him and goes, "I don't care."
That's from The Fugitive. That's Harrison Ford.
Is that Harrison Ford?
Yeah, it's Harrison Ford. Tommy Lee Jones, Harrison Ford, and then he jumps out of the fucking thing.
Fucking A.
Yeah, but that you have everything else exactly. He says, I don't care.
Thank you for making me feel good about fucking that up.
You have everything else perfect.
In my mind, I'm going to blame you for that. But
That's fine.
regardless,
But yeah, awesome scene.
reminds me of, what, when you look at these men, these weak men, these men that have absolutely no anchor in what is actually masculine. Because masculine, I would say, is a function. It's not a flavor, it's a function. And when they espouse their positions on what is masculine, to me, it's somebody saying, what is fair or what should be reality in the land of, if, the land of should.
Yeah.
The fairy tale land where nothing bad happens to anybody and everybody gets their way. This is what they say. And when these people want to say what is masculine, very similar to Tommy Lee Jones's perspective, I want to look at them and go, I don't care what
awesome.
you say is masculine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. So why then am I getting so worked up? What pisses me off? What pisses me off is the manipulation, the sort of propaganda that is very, very organized, very controlled, very deliberate. That unfortunately, and I don't want to sound like some awareness elitist, but most people just have no idea what they're being fed, with these things. So when you have people talking about, I remember when it was a year or two ago, the whole free Coney thing. Not free Coney. It was get Coney, right?
Yeah,
Capture Coney.
They want to free him from this world. Doesn't kill him.
Free him from his neck.
Yeah. But yeah.
But it was this incredibly designed online campaign.
Yeah.
For this was it Get Coney or was it Coney 2014?
Some
something
shit
like that.
like that.
Whatever it was. I was motivated by the thing also. I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
He's capturing kids in Africa. We got to fucking kill this dude. Like, what's going on? I was fired up. And as it became sort of popular and more spotlights were shown on it, now, I had never gotten to the point where I truly invested anything in this. But on the surface, I certainly was moved to share the sentiment of the narrative.
Yeah.
But then it came out that this was this money-making like scheme almost to go after somebody who, like, authorities in that country knew where he was, knew what he was doing. Like, what's the outrage? There were so many other people that could have been sort of addressed before you get to this guy, Coney, at the time. It made no sense. But when you look at the list, the online list that they put together, the funds, in terms of, donations they got, they had something like $20 million in a month.
That's
for
crazy.
People donating money to this cause. But that's the power of propaganda, and that's what pisses me off, So when I see these videos with these, these weak unicorn shitbags from freaking Williamsburg, with their, their fucking their sweater vests and their beards that, like my beard mocks their beards.
Crom's beard laughs at your
My beard gay bashes your beard. Right. But it's, I don't fault them because I think it's worth noting that if they're a group of men and they decide to form a tribe of their own, that's their right. That's their nature.
Yeah.
And I think the irony of that shouldn't be lost. Men will be around men. Men will seek out the approval of other men, even if it's in weak unicorn propaganda designed positions. Thank you, folks, for listening to this episode. I appreciate you guys spending the time with us. ThePressureProject.com is our website. info@thepressureproject.com is our contact email. YouTube.com/The Pressure Project is our YouTube channel. You need to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You also need to subscribe to our newsletter update list, which can be found on the site. We always have extra treats that if, whether it be a broadcast message every now and again, a product that we want to offer you guys, or maybe an early release on some of the videos and the content, being on the newsletter list is worth it if you're a fan of the Pressure Project. And we're an hour in at making fun of the Huffington Post. If you're still with us, chances are you are a fan of the Pressure Project.
That's 100% true.
I enjoyed having this conversation every once in a while. It's good to just rant about something that's going on nowadays. Any excuse to talk about, Jack's writing, I'll certainly take it. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with us while we do. So we look forward to talking to you on the next episode. And as always, brothers, pressure to power.